Thank you so much, Chloe. So we have one more minute before we begin. For setup for today's class, you will need a foam roller as well as your yoga mat. So I would recommend having some space to move around. And if you don't have a yoga mat, you can substitute a towel or a blanket. If you do have if you have a choice of foam roller, I would ask that you use the longer of your rollers. And if you have a short one, that's okay. We'll have you modify for one of the exercises that we start with. And otherwise, you'll be able to follow along through this program just as normal. So hi there, Ian and Catherine. Hi, Paul. Hi, Robin, Debbie, Sarah. Great to see you all. Okay, so it is 9 o'clock a.m. here Eastern time in Boston. So I'd like to get started. This is our stretch and strength for spine health with the foam roller. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Allie. I am a doctor of physical therapy as well as a nationally certified Pilates instructor. I founded the Pilates RX here in Boston, and I teach with the Community Online Academy every Thursday, a bunch of different classes. So I'm glad you guys are here with me today. What we're going to be doing is using the foam roller to do some strength work, some mobility work, some stretching, all to benefit the health of our spine. So we'll be moving for almost the whole time. I'll save 1 or 2 minutes at the end to answer any questions you have about today's program. So if something comes up during the class, send it to me in the chat. I'll read through all those questions afterward and do my best to answer as many as I can at the end of the program. So we're going to get started taking your roller onto the mat behind you with the roller lying lengthwise. So this is where if you do have a shorter foam roller, you'll want to modify, and I can show you how to do so now. So you'll take your roller and we're going to actually lie the spine along the length of the roller. So I'm going to sit on the end and then walk your hands back until you can lie down along the length of the roller. Now, if you have a shorter roller, what I recommend is that you get your head and at least your upper back on the roller, and then you can place some pillows or blocks underneath your hips, or perhaps just kind of hold your hips up into a hover. But if you are on that full roller, take a moment to just let your spine get adjusted. Add a little tuck to your chin, lengthening the back of your neck. Feel your feet grounded down into the floor. Now, if you feel really wobbly here, go ahead and separate your feet a little bit wider than hip distance. Maybe if you've been taking this class and you're feeling pretty comfortable with this movement, you can walk your feet a little bit more narrow to challenge your balance. And what we'll do here is open up the arms out to the side. So we're going to start with a little stretch across the front of the chest. So you should feel a gentle stretching and pulling right across the front of your chest. If you don't, walk your hands up a little bit higher until you do. And if as you walk your hands up, you're getting numbness, tingling, or pulling in your fingertips, bend your elbows just slightly, okay? Palms will face up to the ceiling. So I want you to find that sweet spot where you have a gentle stretch, but it's manageable. It's not painful, it's not pulling. This is what we call a passive stretch. So we're not actively doing anything. We're just lying here. Gravity is doing its job. So over the next minute or so, we're going to allow gravity to just really let the shoulders fall back, draping over the front or the back of the roller behind you. So many of us, as we spend a lot of time sitting at our desks, we spend time being bent forward. And so we tend to get quite tight across the front of the chest. This would be the opposite of that position and allows us to really open up and realign our spine in that tall seated posture. So now as you lie here with the arms open, see if you can focus on your breath. And I want you to think specifically about your rib cage here. So it is our rib cage. We have ribs in the front, we have ribs in the back. And I want you to think about with your breath, filling up the ribs in all dimensions. So not just lifting the ribs forward, lifting the ribs sideways, lifting the ribs backwards, or maybe pressing the ribs backwards into the roller behind you. So taking your inhale, breath in through the nose, and an exhale, breath out through the mouth. Try that again, an inhale, breath in through the nose, and an exhale, breath out through the mouth. We'll try 2 more here, just really letting the shoulders sink back. Maybe you even feel the shoulder blades kind of hugging the roller behind you. We'll try 1 more big breath like that. and letting it go. Now, if you're feeling a lot of lower back pain here, I want you to try and close the space behind the back of your ribs just a little bit more, and that will help to protect your lower back in this position. So from here, slow and steady, we're gonna lift the fingertips up to the ceiling. And again, this might feel really wobbly for you. If it does, you can widen your feet. If it's feeling easy, I want you to challenge yourself by walking your feet a little bit closer together. Now, slow and steady, we're gonna drop the arms out to the side, lift them on up. Notice if you're tipping to one side or the other. That may mean that that arm is moving a little bit faster, or maybe you have a little bit more mobility on that side. Try and make it nice and even. And the trick here is to see if you can get your core active to keep you nice and still on the roller. This isn't easy. So if you want to come back and just hold that stretch open here, that is totally fine and an option available to you at any point. We'll try 3 more. Good. Gently open for 2. 1 more time here. Good. Now we're going to try the same, but backwards. So reach one arm at a time back behind you. And remember that because you're lifted, it's unlikely that you'll tap the floor behind you. I want you to just gently reach your arm back so that you feel a little stretch across the back of your armpit and shoulder. But you also find steadiness on the roller. So again, this is actually a little bit of core work here just to keep your spine steady and strong on the roller. Good. 4 more. That's it. Last 3. You can always just pause here and practice your balance if you need. Last time here. Good. And now return your arms down by your side. Very good. So keep your fingertips on the floor, but not your whole arm here. So just the tips of your fingers. Open up the front of the shoulders. And from here now, we're going to start to march the legs, okay? So I want you to imagine like you're walking. You don't have to pick up the leg a lot, but just very gently picking your feet up one at a time. What we're doing here is kind of testing the stability of our spine. So as we move our legs, our back doesn't have to move. Sometimes it does, especially when we have back pain. Our back moves every time our legs move. I want you to try and keep your back nice and still on the roller as you alternate lifting one leg and then the other. Good. Now, for those of you where this is feeling easy, you can try lifting one hand up. You can try the other hand if you'd like, kind of test out the difference between the 2 sides. You can even try both hands if you'd like, trying to stay nice and steady on the roller. Use your breathing here. Exhale as you lift your leg up. That will help you to find some of your deeper core muscles that help you to stabilize your spine. Notice if the rib cage has left the mat. Try and draw the back of the ribs down onto the mat. Good. Notice if maybe one side is consistently trickier than the other. So that's something to note in terms of where you may want to spend your time. Good. 2 more. And 1 more time here. Good. And then gently place your feet down. What we'll do here, there's no graceful way to go about this. We're going to roll off the side of the roller and come on up to a seated position. Up next, we're going to go into a little mobility work for the upper back. So if you turn your roller perpendicular to the length of your mat, we'll line up seated just in front of it with your feet down flat on the floor. And then we're going to lay down so that the roller is just beneath your shoulder blades. So I recommend grabbing onto the roller with your hands, leaning back, and then you're going to hold your head in your hands. Now, if you feel like the roller is slipping, that's not abnormal. I want you to think of pressing the roller downward into the floor with your rib cage. Walk your feet in a little bit closer. And from here, we're going to go ahead and lift our hips. Start to roll the roller from the very base of your neck down to just below your shoulder blades. So you're not going to go all the way into your low back here. Gently rolling to the base of your neck and then down just past your shoulder blades, keeping your head heavy in your hands. As you roll back and forth here, you may hear some clicking, tapping, crunching in your back. That is okay. That's normal. In fact, that may be a good thing that we're getting some mobility. You may also, as you roll, find one side's a little bit tighter, or perhaps there's a certain zone that feels tighter than the rest. Keep your feet planted on the ground, but if you need to drop your hips down and take a rest at any moment, you can. Now, if you're feeling lower back pain as you do this, chances are it's because the space between your ribs and hips is too big. So you want to draw your ribs and hips towards one another as you're rolling. So continuing to draw those two together, and that will help to focus the stretch to the upper back, which is what we're trying to target here. Good. Now, next time you find one of those tight spots, I want you to pause there, place your bottom down, and gently drape your spine backwards over the shape of the roller. Take a big inhale breath. Again, draw the rib cage down towards the hips. And then exhale, gently come up. We're going to go right back into that rolling. So you can reassess. Maybe you find another spot that's kind of tight. You can pause there, place your bottom down, and then allow the back to gently drape over, like you're trying to make your spine look like the shape of the roller. And again, you may get some cracking, clicking, or popping when you do this here. We'll go right back into that rolling, and just know that if this is the first time you've done this rolling, it's normal for this to be a bit uncomfortable. It does get better, but if you need to take breaks, that's okay here as well. Bring your right elbow now towards your right hip. So we're going to add in a little bend to the right side. That's going to help us get deeper into the left side. And then you can do the same thing bending to the left to get a little deeper into the right side. So different people are going to need attention in different zones. Notice and feel what your body needs today, and you can spend a little bit more time there now. You can also try rotating, which is to turn one elbow up to the ceiling, one elbow down towards the floor, and continue rolling in and out, reaching one elbow long, one elbow down. And that's going to help you also get a little bit more into that side body. And so again, you may notice one side needing more attention. Maybe you feel best just rolling right through the center, and that's okay here. So this type of rolling is something that you could do every day. You could do this a couple times a day. And this is really, really important for people who spend a lot of time sitting. So that same thing we talked about earlier, kind of being bent forward in our upper back and chest. This is the opposite of that position. Good. We'll try one more breath here. And then you can go ahead and carefully come sit up. All right, so we're now we just did lots of mobility work for the upper back. We're gonna take that into a little strengthening exercise. So flip on over to your stomach. And if you have shoulder sensitivity, you're gonna keep your elbows bent for this exercise. If not, you're gonna have your arms straight. So we'll lie down on our stomach with the roller in front of us. You can separate your feet a little wider than hip distance and plant your hands on the roller. So like I said, shoulder sensitivity, you're gonna have bent elbows. If not, you can work with straight arms. Once you're set up, your hands are right on top of the roller. I want you to actively push down into the roller. Lengthen through the top of the head. Take a long inhale breath here. As you exhale, continue to push down and start to curl, lifting your chest up tall, and then gently melting and lowering back down. Work within your body's comfortable range of motion here, but I want you to really maintain the pressure downward into the roller with your hands as you're lifting and especially as you're lowering. So that should help you to keep the shoulders down away from the ears and help you find a little deeper lift and extension in your lower back and your upper back. Good. Pull that roller towards you, push down into your hands, softly, gently lower down. This is a lot of shoulder work here as well. Again, if you're working with that modified posture, same thing, just with your elbows bent. We'll try 3 more here with an option for a little hold. Pull back and lift for 2. Once more here, pull up, lift, hold. From here, start to lift one hand if you'd like. Good. Alternate one side and then the other. This is optional here. You can just hold this, stretch and breathe. We'll go for 3 and 2. One more time, lower it down, reach the arms out long, good. And then we're gonna take that into a little shell stretch or child's pose. You can bend your knees, keep your hands on the roller, and just stretch your hips backwards, arms forward, let your chest drop down between your shoulders. You can do this with bent elbows as well for shoulder sensitivity. And just take a moment to breathe into the backside of your rib cage here. And gently let that go. Good. Okay, now we're gonna take that into one more stretch here, which is also for our upper back, but with rotation. So if you're someone who you know when you twist, you feel really tight or perhaps painful, this is a really, really good one for you. So we're gonna start with the roller on the right side of our mat. I have a very long one. Even if you have your short one, that's okay. You're gonna place both hands down into the floor in an all fours position. Now, from here, we're gonna take the left hand underneath our right one onto the roller. I know this is kind of a funny setup here, but you're gonna gently push the roller away and pull it back in. Push the roller away, twist your body and pull it back in. So I'm creating movement from my spine. My hips stay stacked up to the ceiling. I'm letting my right elbow bend a little bit if that feels comfortable, but I'm working to push the roller away from me with my left hand here. Good. So I call this thread the needle. It's like you're threading a needle through the space under your right arm here. 3 more. Good. Last 2. One more time here. Good. Come back through the center. We're going to roll that roller over to the left side of your mat and then take your right hand through your left arm, place it on top of the roller. Now we're going to look to the left as we reach that roller out and come back up. Push and reach the roller out and away and gently come back up. So nice and easy here, nothing fancy. You're just pushing that roller out to your body's comfortable range of motion. This should feel like a nice stretch for the upper back as well as your shoulders. And you can just gently gaze over towards the roller with your eyes. 2 more times. Good. Once more there. Good. And then we'll take a little rest. Roll it out, shake out your shoulders. Good. Now we have one more optional strength exercise to help continue to open up and strengthen our chest in this nice new tall posture we have. So we're going to take the roller back to the right side of the mat, and I'll show you guys a couple of options here. You're going to place your right hand on the roller, your left hand on the floor. Now, once your hand is on the roller in the all fours position, I want the roller to stay still. So we're all going to start here with our knees down. All you're going to do is a little push up with your knees down, pushing the hand down into the roller. Now, for those of you who are comfortable in this setup and want to build, you can walk your feet back into a plank and try your full push up here. Okay, at any point, you can come back onto your knees and just try that as well. 3 more, and 2. One more time there, excellent. Now, same thing other side, we're gonna push that roller over so it's underneath our left hand. We're in our all fours position. I'd like everyone to start like this. The roller should be totally still underneath your left hand. Start to bend and push. Bend down and push, good. Now, if you can keep the roller still, you can come back into that full plank pose and try your push-ups here. Good, 4, 3, that's it. Last 2, keep your head lifted. One more time there, whew. And then go ahead and take a rest and shake it out. Nice job, guys. Those lots of upper body work, lots of chest opening. I hope you feel a little bit taller now. We're gonna take this into the lower extremities. So turn your roller back to that perpendicular direction, and we're gonna sit right on top of the roller now to get into a little bit of glute work, so some hip work. Now we'll do one side at a time here. So I want you to start on the left hip. You're going to reach your left hand back behind you and gently tip your body towards the left. From here, we're just going to start to roll back and forth along the length of your glute, your butt muscle. And as you're rolling back and forth, everybody's going to feel tight spots in different zones. So work within what's comfortable for your body, keeping gentle pressure down into your leg. But if it feels like too much, you can always back off and take a rest. Just know that there's a big bone right on the side of your hip and the bony part of your bottom and your pelvis that don't feel great to roll over. You want to stay more on the muscle itself than the bones here. And so we're making change through the muscle. You'll feel it and know that it's quite uncomfortable when you roll over the bones. So try and stick onto the meaty part of the muscle. And you can kind of orient yourself more up towards the ceiling or a little bit more rotated to the side. And again, different people are tight in different zones. If you want to add more weight here, take your right ankle on top of your left thigh, and you can continue rolling along the length of your glute with that added weight. Now, that might be too much for your body, especially if this is the first couple times you're doing it. So keep both feet down on the ground, and that's okay here. Let your breath be comfortable and natural. And we'll try just another moment here before switching up and over to the other side. So now we're going to take the right hand onto the floor behind us, roll towards the right, and try the same thing on this side. Now, if this feels like too intense again, you can always back off and just kind of stay a little bit more centered, or perhaps roll a little bit more to the side, depending how your body's feeling. We focus here on the glutes when it comes to spine health because all of the nerves that exit our lower back and they supply our legs with feeling and with the muscle strength, they run right through our glutes. And so keeping these nice and loose and pliable helps us to move a little bit better and to feel a little bit stronger in our daily activities, especially bending over, picking things up, and doing stairs. Good. Now, this type of rolling, I would recommend doing about 2 to 3 days a week. So this is a little different than the rolling we did for the upper back. Because we're rolling over muscle here, the muscle may need a little bit of recovery time. So 2 to 3 days a week is appropriate for this type of rolling. Good. If you want to add more body weight here, cross your left ankle on top of your right thigh. And that, again, might be too much. It's okay to have differences from side to side. Just notice it and work within what is comfortable for your body here. Good. That's it. We'll try 3 more. And 2. And 1 more time there. Good. Okay, now we're gonna set up for a little bit of glute work. So our glutes that we just did that rolling for, they work to extend our hips, so reach our hip backwards. So we're gonna build on that strength and new mobility we had in the all fours position today. So this setup is a little funny. You want to take the back of your ankle, or rather the top of your ankle, right on top of the roller. So both of them go on top of the roller, and you set up in the all fours position. Now I want your back here to be flat like a tray. So try and draw your shoulder blades together, draw your rib cage up away from the floor, and lengthen your neck. Now imagine I really did put a tray of waters right onto your lower back, and they're really, really full. Try and keep them steady. You're gonna push the roller back behind you with your left leg, pull it back in. Push it back behind you, pull it back in. So I know that it's not a lot of work to push the roller behind you. What is a lot of work here is to keep your back super, super steady. So you might feel your back arching, you might feel your body weight swaying side to side. Try and keep it super smooth, super steady as you stretch the heel back. And exaggerate that push back. See if you can really reach and straighten the leg back behind you. 3 more. Pull it back in, last 2. And draw it back in 1 more time there. Pull it back in, now right side, so keep your left knee down. push and roll the right side back. And you may find one side much easier than the other. I know this one is a little bit easier for me here. Keeping the head lifted, shoulders down away from the ears, pull in and push back, in and push back. Good. 3 more. And 2 more. 1 more time here. And draw it all the way in and take a rest. Excellent. Okay, so we're gonna now get into the back of our thighs a little bit more by taking that roller around in front of us, sitting on our bottom and bringing the roller behind the back of our legs. So that's here on our hamstring muscles. So just above your knee, but below your hip. We're gonna end up lifting our hips in just a moment with the weight back in our hands. But if you're feeling quite tired here and your wrists are sore, just bring the roller down to your calves. You can actually move the roller on the back side of your legs here without any weight in your hands. If you feel comfortable putting more weight in your hands, bring the roller back behind the back of your hamstrings, hands behind you, and open up your chest. And then you're gently gonna roll along the back of your leg. Remember that we're not rolling over bones. So we don't wanna roll onto the knee. We don't wanna roll all the way to the hip, but we're gonna try and get the full length of the thigh in between. And that's a fairly long muscle here. So just notice as you're rolling back and forth, if you feel like, wow, up at the top, it's a little bit tighter, or maybe for some of you, it's down at the bottom. You can also gently roll your thighs in a little bit or out a little bit to get the slightly different angles of this fiber. So our hamstring muscle is actually made up of 3 small groups of muscle fibers that go across the width of the leg. So different people are going to be tight in different zones there as you work. Good. We'll try a few more just like this. That's it there. Good. And once more. And then place your bottom down. Okay. So now we're going to try and build on that strength even a bit more. So we'll lie down on your back and place the tops of the feet on the roller. And I want you to make sure that that roller is close enough to be able to top it with your fingertips. Now we have a couple options here. The roller should stay still. So I want you to actively push downward into the roller with your feet. And so as you push downward into the roller with your feet, you should feel the backs of your legs start to work. And maybe this is where you stay, and that's okay. If you feel comfortable progressing and building, you can lift your hips up and gently lower them back down. As you lift and lower your hips here, see if you can keep the roller completely steady under your feet by pushing downward through the length of your leg as you lift and lower your hips. Good. 3 more. And lower back down. Exhale, push down into the roller for 2. Good. 1 more time there. And lower it back down. Last challenge. Roll the roller out away from you so that it's right behind the back of your ankles. Reach your arms long overhead. See if you can roll yourself up to a seat. And that's really tricky. Give it a try. Awesome work to those of you who just did that. Nice job there. So that concludes the movement-based part of our class. I know we went through a lot of different things today, but I hope your spine is feeling a little bit looser, a little